You click on this movie review. You watch the movie review in the water. There's a shark in the water. And this shark in the water, he roars in the water. Even though sharks don't have vocal cords to roar, the shark is roaring in the water. What the hell? Jaws the Revenge, released in 1987 and is directed by Joseph Sargent, who has also directed such films like Memorial Day, Choices of the Heart, The Long Island Incident, My Antonia, and Sybil. I think the more impressive thing about his filmography is that he actually has a filmography after this movie. So, kudos to you, sir. You worked your voodoo magic. And this film is starring Lorraine Gary, Lance Guest, Mario Van Peebles, Karen Young, and Michael Caine. That's right, Michael Caine is here, and he actually stayed here because at the time of this movie, he won a Best Supporting Actor Oscar, and he wanted to go to accept the award, but the set crew did not let him leave because I'm sure they were thinking, if we let him leave, he is never coming back here. And I don't blame him because this movie is fucking terrible. And the reason why we're talking about this piece of shit today is because it was a PayPal recommendation and donation from one of my longtime contributors and supporters of this channel, Dr. Camp. Thank you so much for the recommendation. If any of you out there also want to be like Dr. Camp and help support me and contribute to this channel, if you have a movie recommendation that you want me to do for you, you can click on the PayPal link that is on the homepage of my YouTube channel. Any size donation will do. Just send it my way with your movie recommendation, and I'll give you a little shout out just like what I did with Dr. Camp here. Dr. Camp, I've been dreading this review for a while. I had watched the Chris Stuckman hilariosity of this movie a while ago, and I feel like I've seen parts of this. I've definitely not watched it all the way through. Finally did today. Why? Ellen Brody has recently lost her youngest boy, Sean Brody, to a shark attack. And she's definitely suffering from one of the 5 stages of grief because she blames the shark and says that the shark had been waiting for Sean Brody his entire life, just like how he got her husband. So Ellen's oldest son, Michael, comes into town and invites her to come down to the Bahamas to spend Christmas season with him. Well, the shark follows them to the Bahamas and makes their life a living hell because Michael, of course, is a marine biologist. And this is one of those reviews where I just took notes. I knew I was going to, so I just immediately started taking notes. And I'm just going to read off the notes that I took in here. I'll splice in the clips that I'm referring to just so you can see and believe what I'm telling you. For those of you that have not put yourself through the torture of watching just this piece of shit that just doesn't make sense. So without further ado, let me get my notes ready, and I'm just gonna read through the events that happen, and we'll have a big laugh over them together. The movie opens, and we get a point of view shot while the title credits are popping up, and the shark is literally swimming above the water, which sharks do not do. So it's already setting the precedence that we aren't going to obey the laws of physics here. We're not going to obey the laws of Mother Nature, because sharks don't swim above the water. They swim in the water, right? They have gills. They want to be in the water the entire time. But this is the shark's revenge, so it needs to see and make sure that the Brodies are near because it's going after them. Just forewarning, a lot of my notes in here are me just saying like, it can't do that type thing. So let's move on. So we cut into a nice little dinner scene between Ellen Brody and her younger son Sean, who is a police deputy on Amity Island. And just keep in mind that Amity Island is in Massachusetts, so it's north of this country, okay? It's in the north. Things are cold in the wintertime, okay? Keep that in mind. Sean is helping to cut all the vegetables, and he cuts himself accidentally, and Ellen's like, oh god, you okay? And Sean says like, nah, it adds flavor.
Yeah, it adds flavor.
You know, keeps sprinkling his blood over the tomatoes. And I wrote down here, don't let Gordon Ramsay see you, you disgusting prick. So Sean gets called in to go out to a buoy to clear a log that is stuck in the buoy, and that's gonna throw off all the fishermen coming in for some reason, I guess, whatever. But it's Christmas time. I didn't realize that this was a Christmas movie, so I need to add it to my Christmas watch list every year. No, I don't, Caleb. Move on! So as he's clearing the log, we get a nice, tight close-up and jump scare of the shark ripping his arm off, and Sean Brody is there writhing in pain and yelling and screaming, but we can't hear him because we have the choir on the beach rehearsing their little passion Christmas play, so all of his cries go unheard. The shark jumps up again and gets little Sean Brody. And I wrote down here, it's actually one of the most positive things I wrote in here, like, hey, the shark finally got a Brody. Good for you, shark. But then you realize that this is not the same shark from the original Jaws film that is a masterpiece, because that shark died. So then you start asking yourself, who the fuck is this shark? Oh, we'll get into that later. But we do cut to a shot of the log being freed from the buoy. So, in essence, you know, Sean Brody didn't die for nothing. He got that log off of the buoy. So now her older son, Michael, who we saw in Jaws 2, we also saw in Jaws 3D, that apparently this movie doesn't recognize. We don't care. Continuity in this series is all bullshit. The only one you need to worry about is the first Jaws. The other ones you can just, you know, put on in the background, or don't put on in the background. It's not even worth it. But Michael comes into town for the funeral and is grieving with her mother. He brings his wife and his kid with him, and his little kid had a lovely little line that she was saying to her relatives as Michael was going out to comfort his mother.
Uncle Sean is dead, you know. Will he ever come back?
No, you dumbass! And as Michael is comforting his mother, Ellen is there just staring at the water. He goes in to hug Michael and says,
It came for him.
What?
It waited all this time, and it came for him.
And this is the first time I wrote down in my notes, what? How did this shark wait for Sean all of these years? The shark has died in every single Jaws movie. Who is this shark? Is this shark a relative of the previous shark? Like a distant cousin twice removed? Where are you getting this bullshit of it waited? It waited for my son in the water. Then we cut to a scene of Ellen trying to make dinner for the family because she needs to keep herself distracted, so she's banging all the pots and pans around and clanking everything together, making a noise, and then she says, I don't want you to get into the water anymore, Michael, even though Michael is a marine biologist.
I want you to get out of the water.
What?
I want you to give up that terrible job.
And there's a line in here that Michael says in combating his mother that you don't believe in all this voodoo crap, do ya?
Come on! You can't believe that voodoo. Sharks don't commit murder.
And I heard that there is a book adaptation of this movie where there is a prologue where they have some type of like witch doctor putting a voodoo curse on Ellen or on the Brodies or on someone or on this shark to make this shark go after the Brodies, go after this family. That's why it's called Jaws the Revenge. I don't know why, and I can't confirm that that actually exists because I haven't read the book, and I'm not gonna read the book because I don't want anything to do with this frickin' thing. But I wonder if there are scenes that were shot of this witch doctor putting a voodoo curse on this shark. And if there were, like, why didn't we use that? Because it would have explained some things, maybe? What probably happened is the movie producers saw what they were getting. They were like, no, we're just gonna cut it short. We're gonna cut it off. We're gonna get this thing out there, make a little bit of money, or at least try to, and then just be done with this. We're not gonna shoot any more scenes. And then Ellen says that the shark killed her husband, Chief Brody, Rob Schneider from the first Jaws movie, and Jaws 2, I guess. He died because of the shark, but not because of a shark attack, because Chief Brody was afraid of the shark. And Chief Brody had a heart attack because he was afraid of the shark.
Dad died from a heart attack.
He died from fear. The fear of it killed him.
And if that's the case, if that's the parallel that we are attaching the heart attack to the shark, if that's what your mind is doing, Ellen, what the fuck are you doing living on an island still? There's an entire Midwest of the United States of America that you could move to where there is no ocean on any side of the land that you are living on. If you love water, move to Minnesota, move to Wisconsin. You got the Great Lakes in there. You have little puddles of water that you can enjoy yourself in. You don't need to be living on the ocean if you think that a shark is coming after you. This is the absence of logic that this movie has. So I hope you're getting that in your head as you watch me talk about this. Because, it just gets worse from here. We cut to a strange scene of Michael with his wife, and you can tell that he's suffering, he's grieving, and his wife is just saying like, well, he was just doing his job. And I was like, well, that's right, Sean's job of going out there and removing sticks from the water. That sounds like an amazing job to have and one worth dying for. And then awkwardly, Michael just takes off and runs, and we get just weird ADR like this.
Hey, where you going?
Nowhere!
He's like 50 feet away, yet the ADR makes him sound like he is sitting right next to me in the theater watching this movie. Thank you, Michael. Then we cut to more scenes of Ellen ugly crying. You get a lot of those in this movie, where Ellen is just ugly crying. It's like she fell out of the ugly crying tree and hit every branch on the way down. Oh, this is a fun little tidbit. So Michael and his family invite Ellen to come down to the Bahamas to spend Christmas with them because it's so cold up here in Massachusetts. After Ellen just freaked out and wanted Michael to get out of the water, she agrees to come down to the Bahamas, which is an island. It's a warm island, but it's still an island. So, okay, let's do it. Let's move from one island to another island. You're going the wrong way, Ellen. You need to be going west. You need to be going to the Midwest of America. Find a hut in the Rocky Mountains. Move to Colorado. Live in the mountains, why don't you? So they're flying down there, and we get our first little glimpse of Michael Caine. And I think I literally out loud said, oh, look, it's Michael Caine. I'm Michael Caine. I'm driving the plane here. And I never knew how much I needed Michael Caine just going, hey, in my life until I watched this movie, but I need it just every day. I need to make it my ringtone on my phone.
And the houses get bigger. Then you go like this, and then the houses get smaller. Do you want to go for a ride?
Yes!
Hey! There's a moment where the family is driving to Michael's house and the cab driver is singing Christmas carols into the sound system of his car. And I was just thinking, you better be tipping that man well, Michael, because all he needed to do was just drive you, but he's providing you entertainment. You better tip that sumbitch well. They get there, Ellen freaks out a little bit over her granddaughter playing on the deck because, you know, sharks and water and things. There's a connection. She stares out into the ocean and, you know, she feels the presence of the shark, even though this shark was up in Massachusetts, mind you. And sharks do not migrate down to warmer weather, down to the Bahamas. They just don't. Oh, but just you wait. I did write a note here that Ellen was freaking out over her little girl playing on the deck, but it's a very shallow area. Like, the sharks can't live in the shallows, but then I remember there was that movie with Blake Lively called The Shallows, and there was a shark there, so what do I know? Sharks can live in the shallows, and Lady Gaga will sing a song about it. In the shallow. And then from out of nowhere, we cut to a scene where Ellen is swimming out in the ocean. And I'm thinking, what the fuck? You just had a whole monologue with Michael yelling at him to get out of the water, where he has like protective gear on and all that. You're just out there fucking swimming. You fucking hypocrite. But don't worry, it turns out to be a dream sequence. Even though the shark shows up and starts eating her, she wakes up and it's a nightmare. Oh boy, and don't you worry, it's not going to be the only fucking dream sequence that we get here. We get introduced to Michael's partner, who's a marine biologist. His name is Jake, and he has an annoying Jamaican accent.
Come on, Michael, talk to me. Give me some numbers up here. How many you got?
Leave me alone, Jake.
Oh, you're full of shit, man.
The cards will tell you all, my children. Next up, we cut to Christmas Day, and the little girl is opening her presents, and she's talking about her Uncle Sean, and apparently is just obsessed with, like, the darker side of Sean's life.
Was Uncle Sean ever back? Did you ever spank him?
Did you ever spank him, Mama? Tell me about when you spanked your little boy.
Which leads her into freaking out again and then saying, Michael, I don't want you back in the water. Even though I followed you down here to the Bahamas where you do all of your work, I don't want you in the water anymore. Get out of the water. This movie's a lot of that. It's a lot of just back and forth, people just being depressed and grieving and just saying like, hey, don't do the thing that you love doing. Just don't. Because reasons and connections and voodoo and things. And then one of the most brilliant editing choices I've ever seen in a movie, we just cut to a water scene, and there's the shark. There he is. The first movie kept the shark hidden almost the entire time, or a good majority of the time, and then when we first see that shark jump up and scare Chief Brody, it's terrifying. It's a terrifying moment. And yes, there are reasons why they didn't show the shark a lot, mechanical reasons. It was breaking down, it wasn't working, it wasn't looking good. The terror of not seeing the thing that is causing the terror, that's true horror. Here, we just randomly go, oh, there he is. Just the shark swimming around saying, hey, hello guys. I also like thinking that this shark had like an inner monologue sounding something like this. Hey Brodies, I'm coming down to get you in the Bahamas. I haven't had a vacation in a long time, so thank you for choosing a warm location. Oh boy, I can't wait to eat you. This is also when you have to realize just the ridiculousness of this movie, because sharks do not migrate to the Bahamas. And they say it in here, like sharks are never seen in the Bahamas. At least great whites are never seen in the Bahamas. It's never happened before. But it's happening now. So that's why we need to go out and study it, right? No, it's stupid. It's just all fucking stupid. It's all stupid. Then we get a lot more scenes of Ellen playing by the water, the thing that she's afraid of and doesn't want her family playing next to. Well, she plays there, she looks out into the water some more. Michael Caine stops by because he's, like, hey, it's a lady my age, and I might get some from her, so I'm gonna befriend her, I am. Flies her around, takes her to some, local festivals where they have an awkward time, and she tries to put up a front that she's not grieving, but she clearly is, and Michael Caine sees it. Or maybe it's just him. Maybe it's just him going like, what the fuck is this dialogue? What am I doing here? But okay, it's a free vacation. There is a moment in the background of the flying scene where the island is literally fast forwarding in the background. Just look at the island going so fast. That plane is going so freaking fast that the island is repeating itself. It's almost like it's on a track or something. Then we cut to Michael and Jake doing their scuba stuff, and here's another instance where the shark just randomly appears, leading to another psychic connection stare from Ellen Brody, which, cool. It's dramatic. It's a serious movie. That, I think, is the main issue of this film. It is taking itself way, way too seriously. You get a lot of, Shark and Jaws remakes nowadays, Sharknado, things like that, Giant Shark versus Giant Octopus, or whatever that movie was, Santa Jaws, which is just a delightful Christmas film. All of those shark movies realize what they are, and they're just having fun, and they know that they're just stupid little action horror films, but they just have fun with it. Here, no one seems like they're having fun, and it seems like they're trying to make the next Jaws, like they're trying to be as good as the original Jaws movie, and you're nowhere in the ballpark. You are not even in the same country, you're not on the same planet. So, at what point do you realize, no, this isn't working, so let's just have some fun? I mean, I don't think it happened here, because no one looks like they're having fun. Case in point, we have a scene where Michael is arguing with his wife about taking out the trash. And they're trying to have an argument, they're trying to be dramatic, but then they even stop themselves and say, what are we even fighting about?
I take out the garbage because... Good, I'm glad we got that straightened out.
What the hell are we arguing about?
Why are we fighting? It doesn't make sense. Which leads to a hot, passionate sex scene in the middle of her workshop. And he has just an amazing seductive line that would get me wet all over.
I've always wanted to make love to an angry welder.
Wow. Cutting to more of Jake and Michael trying to go after the shark, or at least research it and test it, and they're putting chum in the water, they're baiting the shark, and we see the shark just swimming out in the water. Just above, just cruising. Almost like it's a little tiny, submarine boat that someone is pedaling, or it's on a track of some kind. It also looks like this Jaws shark is just like a little puppy. It's wagging its fin around, its fin is flopping. Its top fin is flopping. What is that? It's not. It's so stupid. You can legit see the seams in the fins of the shark. That's how poorly constructed this shark is. We cut to another dream sequence, because we haven't had enough of those in this movie, where something horrific happens and then they fake you out, because it didn't even happen at all. So Michael has one now, so yay, dramatic tension, and it got you on the edge of your seat, right? No? Okay. And one of the biggest examples that they're trying to emulate and try to, like, be the original Jaws movie is that they have a scene where they are literally mimicking the lovely little moment that Chief Brody had with Sean when he was a little kid in the first movie, where they're just imitating each other at the dining room table. Well, now they're just recreating that scene here with Michael and his daughter. And Ellen comes in and talks about how, oh, you would do that all the time as children. That is really like our thing as a family. We mimic each other. A new scene of Michael going back in the water, and another shocker, the shark shows up because revenge and stuff. And it's just flopping in the water, like underwater, but it's going back and forth like this, as if it's not like on the track at all, or they can't keep it balanced, whoever is operating the animatronics. Hey, I can't keep myself straight. Had too much gin down at the gin joint before shooting. My bad, guys. And this is when you start to realize that they never show the shark from the waist down in the water scenes. It's like, from here up, we get it, but the white underbelly, we don't see at all, ever. So we get a close call with him, and then he wakes up the next day. I thought this whole thing was a dream sequence, because that is the precedence that they were setting, but apparently it wasn't. Apparently all that stuff happened, so he's going to go back into the water again today, even though it's the big day for his wife unveiling the piece of metal work art for the island, you know. But he needs to go back into the water because he's afraid. Oh, dramatic tension.
I'm scared shitless. What the hell am I supposed to do if I can't go back in that water?
But they ain't gonna find the shark, because the shark is actually over on the beach where Michael's wife and kid are hanging out at the ceremony. The kid goes on the banana boat, and then the shark shows up, and we get the slow motion attack scene. And you start to realize that all of the attack scenes in this movie are all going to be done in slow motion, especially when it's above the water, because I'm sure in real time it looks like shit. But to try to make it look kind of horrific, they slow everything down, where the shark is just going... And we get people's reaction of... But the daughter's safe and everything, so we're all good here. Now Ellen has had enough. The shark almost ate her granddaughter, so now she's gonna take matters into her own hands. She gets on a boat and she sails out into the ocean to do something. Oh, revenge. And it was at this point that I wrote down a question about the shark. So the shark is attacking the Brodies and is set on killing them. It started with Chief Brody, apparently, even though this is not the same shark. Apparently we're setting that as the precedence, that this shark is the one that killed Chief Brody because of fear or whatever. So the shark is going after Chief Brody. The shark got Sean Brody. The shark's going after Michael Brody, also little daughter Brody, but it's also going to go after Ellen, which made me realize that the shark recognizes marriage. Ellen has no ties to the Brodies at all through blood. It's all just through legal documents and marriage certificates. So it's like, hey, the shark recognizes the law and the laws of marriage. That's kind of cool, shark. I guess if you ever need a divorce lawyer, call a shark. It'll help you. Actually, that makes sense, because the name of the original shark in the original Jaws movie was named Bruce after Steven Spielberg's lawyer. So it frickin' makes sense. Sharks are lawyers. They recognize marriage. We gather here to witness the union between two young people. Now get in my belly, you're my dinner. Michael comes back from his ocean trip, and there's his daughter in shock, and his wife starts freaking out because she realizes that he knew about the shark the entire time. So, of course, all of this is his fault, and we get just blood-curdling screams from her that actually turn out to be hilarious.
Why didn't you tell us?
Where's Jake?
Why didn't you tell us?
And then we go back to Ellen, and she finds the shark, and she gives the amazing melodramatic line, just like Chief Brody did in the first Jaws movie.
Come and get me, you son of a bitch.
No, not the same impact, Ellen. Sorry. I tried to give it to you, but it wasn't quite there. So now Michael and Jake, and they hook in Michael Caine to be a part of this. They're flying around on the airplane, trying to find Ellen. They finally do, and the intelligent thing that... that Michael Caine did is he lands the plane in the water. And this is not a plane that can sustain itself afloat in the ocean on the water. This is just like a straight like jet plane. So when it lands, it's gonna sink. And he lands it 30 feet away from the ship. So in order to get to the boat to save Ellen or to help her somehow, Michael and Jake have to swim to the boat. You know, the thing that the shark is like obsessed with apparently. And humans don't swim well, especially compared to sharks. So like, Michael's gonna swim to the boat, but the shark doesn't show up at all to eat Michael, even though he was right there. No, the shark tries to eat Michael Caine. And I thought it did, just to get Michael Caine written off and out of there.
Oh, shit!
They even cut back to when the plane is sinking, but they're trying to make it seem like the shark was sinking the plane. And it obviously was not, because this plane is not, again, designed for the water. So the plane is just sinking, but we're still focusing on the shark eating the plane wing, because it makes it seem like the shark is the one sinking the plane, you know, the thing made of metal. Michael Caine does have a great line in here, though, when the shark shows up. He just goes, "Oh shit!" And I think that just explains his entire mindset of this whole shooting schedule. But he survives. He magically survives without a scratch on him. They pull him up onto the boat, and he's completely dry. Because apparently it was so hot shooting on that day that they kept trying to douse him in water, but by the time they started rolling the cameras, everything dried up. So when he got on the boat from the water, his clothes are all dry. But at this point, you're just like, okay, I'm feeling bad for this film now, so whatever. Let's just make it to the moment that I know you're building to. We're gonna kill this shark somehow. And Michael and Jake come up with some makeshift electronic device with a flashlight. It doesn't exist and the science isn't there. It's just one of those makeshift elements that you create just for movie science. To do the thing, to save the thing, to defeat the thing. Jake manages to get the thing into the shark's mouth, but then the shark eats Jake, or supposedly eats Jake, even though we see blood everywhere and the teeth are clenching down into his abdomen. So Jake is dead. That's sad. But now I don't have to listen to that annoying Jamaican accent, so yay! And then Michael starts hitting the button on the machine thing, and this is where just all logic goes out the window. So it's shocking the shark, and the shark is going above water. It's standing. It's like a Jesus shark. It's standing on the fucking water. And it's roaring in pain. Like, it can't. Sharks don't speak. They don't make noise. They don't make noise with their mouths. They can't roar. But yet we still just hear roar. Doesn't have vocal cords. That's not how sharks work. You see it here. And then Ellen takes the point of the sailboat and rams it into the shark. And apparently the shark is just combustible. Because the second that happens, the shark completely explodes, and we get repurposed footage from the first Jaws movie after that shark was killed. The shark sinking to the ocean floor. Well, that happens here. This shark dies the exact same way. What? This is some fucking bullshit! It's clear that they were just like, okay, what do we do? Nothing that we're doing works. None of this seems right. All this is fucking stupid. How do we just end this? How do we just end this shooting experience so I can move on with my life? Let's just do that. And everyone survives. Even Jake, who was eaten before, he's alive. How? I have no fucking idea. There's not a single, like, bite mark on him at all. He's just alive, and everyone is happy. And then Ellen flies back to Amity Island to live out the rest of her fearful days. I would hope that she eventually moved to the Midwest or moved inland so she didn't have to worry about being afraid of being on the water or being surrounded by water. Because again, you can move into the land where there is no water and there are no sharks, ya dumb fuck. And everyone's happy too. Michael's wife and daughter, even though, You know, they almost lost their kid, and she was just so angry at him with the amazing line delivery. They're all good. They're still all good. They're still happy. They still love each other. It's all great. It's all a happy ending. It's a Christmas movie, damn it. It's a Christmas fucking miracle. Jaws 4 is awful. It is goddamn awful. I can't think of a single fucking positive thing that happened in this movie. Other than, like, the shark finally eating one of the Brodies. I mean, that's been 4 films now. This is the 4th one, and this one finally did it. So, I mean, good for that. But other than that, like, there's nothing. There's nothing here. There are points in here that are hilarious, but there are also points in here where it's just a fucking drag. And they're trying to take this way too seriously. And it doesn't need to be. If there was a sense in this movie of levity or camp to this story, maybe the overall viewing experience would have been better. But the fact that it was taking itself so goddamn seriously, you just sit back and go like, no, you're trying to be serious. You're trying to be dramatic, and it ain't happening. So I'm just laughing at you. I am laughing at you, sir. Movie, sir, I am laughing at you. Even you, Jaws, with your amazing voiceover acting that I've been doing this entire review. Oh, thanks, Caleb! I'm gonna subscribe to your channel! I'm gonna give Jaws the Revenge 5 out of 5 mammograms.
I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer.
So guys, what did you think about my review of Jaws the Revenge? Do you agree with me? What is your ranking of all of the Jaws films out there? Whatever you thought, comment below and let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you all the next time I'm releasing my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.